Good afternoon, everyone. It's Tangi from Papercrafting Australia. Thank you so much for joining me for another tutorial for our Crafternoon Box product. This weekend, we're going to be doing a tri-fold shutter card. So that's the project that we'll be making today. So if it's the first time that you're joining us, thank you so much for popping along. Just going to have a double check. We are streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook. So if you are in the chat on either of those, give us a hoy, say hi. I'm just going to jump in actually to my Facebook feed on the other side, just so I can see. Oh, probably going to get extra audio, which I don't want. But yeah, say hello. Let us know who you are, where you're from. We do like to have new people along with us, joining the community and sharing their craft, their love of craft. Linda Hum, I can see you are here. Hello. Hi, Emma. Thank you for joining us. Good to have you back. I think it's your second tutorial with us, so welcome back. Thanks for coming back. Tony Bensley's here as usual. This style of card is going to be awesome. Hello, everybody, says Tony. So thank you for joining us wherever you are, whether it's on Facebook. Mum's in the house. Sharon's here. Thanks for joining me, my moderator, just to kick out any naughty people in the chat and keep things sensible. But let's get stuck into it. So this is the, let me just get my keyboard out of the way. Kind of got things in all kinds of different directions. I've literally just downed an omelette for brunch slash lunch. So this is the card that we're making for today. So as you can see, it's quite slim. Now, if I was to put that against an A6 envelope, you can see that it will fit inside, but it is a bit narrower. So later, once you've kind of gotten the measurements for this one, if you wanted to make it slightly wider, you certainly could. But this is a tri-fold shutter card. So the tri-fold, I suppose, is the front panel, the back panel, and then what's in the middle. That's your three parts. And the part that is in the middle is a shutter card. So it's a little bit different to a normal shutter card where you would just fold the panels over, kind of like shutters on a window. So this is what we're going to be making today, and I think it's just so much fun. It's something that people don't kind of expect. It does feel just a little bit heavier than a normal, double-sided card. So when somebody opens this and opens it out, then it's it's certainly a little bit more special, and it will, not that you can see from an overhead shot, but it will stand up. So it's a great kind of item to display on somebody's mantle, or in a kitchen counter, or wherever it is that you share and display your birthday cards and things like that. Where does everybody put their birthday cards? Just out of curiosity, pop a quick little comment in the chat. Let me know, when you get a card from somebody, where does it normally go in your house? Is it the kitchen bench? Is it next to the TV on the TV unit? Is it, I don't know, do you pin it to a pin board? Let me know. But we'll get on with having a look at what we're going to use to make these cards today. So get my envelope out of the way. I'm not going to use that. So we're going to use some of the Craft Weave cardstock. This is the periwinkle colour. We all know that I love this colour. Purple just seems to kind of sit well with me. We're going to be using some paper from the Paper Rose plaid and watercolour mix. So this is the 6x6 inch paper. I have chosen some of these beautiful blues and purples today. So plaid on one side, watercolor on the other side. So that's kind of where I'm heading with this today. A little bit less busy, if you like, than this one that I created with the plaid. So it's definitely going to just tone it down a little bit, hopefully. I've also got some of the smooth white Craft stock, and that is, as you can see from this, where I pop that in the middle. So that I can write a little greeting to whoever I give this card to. It's completely up to you whether you put that on just one panel. You might want to put it in different places, just depending on what you want to put in your card and how many kind of words you want to write to that recipient. So see how you go. I've also got some black Couture Creations photographic black cardstock. So that I'm going to use for the outline borders. So it's going to be a fairly clean card for me today, rather than that one which was quite busy. Now I've also gone back to our March Crafternoon Box, where we used some of these great sentiments and greeting blocks from the Really Rainbow set. Really Rainbow Sentiments by Paper Rose. So they are what I'm going to kind of use to dress up my card a little bit today. And of course, we've got a bunch of the Craft rhinestones. Now, I've got some bad news about these. During the week, I was speaking to my supplier at Craft, and unfortunately, they are discontinuing this line. So I'm on the hunt. You might have seen plenty of boxes in the background of my my face shot just before. I've got lots of samples of different products and things. What I really liked about these is that there were the 3 different sizes, and you know they're relatively inexpensive, and you get quite a lot of them. So I'm on the hunt for you guys. We will find something else to replace that in the kit, and we've got a few colours at hand now, but we'll see how we go. So let's get into it. I just want to have a look at some of the comments. So people said, oh, Emma, that's lovely. Emma says she's been counting down for this all week. That's so wonderful. You display yours on the TV unit. Margaret from Canada's here. Thanks for joining us, Margaret. Tony Bensley puts hers on the coffee table in her lounge room. Excellent. Ollie Guerin's here. Hello. Good to have you all here. Thank you for supporting my little channel and my little business. All right, let's start with your main piece of cardstock. So you're going to want to cut down. Now I've got centimetres for you this week, everybody, just to make things, you know, stir it up a little bit. We normally go in inches, but today we're going in centimetres. So 24 centimetres wide by 14 centimetres tall. What I'm going to do from there, once I've got that cut out, I'm going to use my scoreboard just to make some score lines on here. Now, before I get into that, I'm actually going to just measure out. Where's my pencil? I'm going to measure out where these score lines are going to go. Because I've got my scoreboard is in inches, it does have millimetres and centimetres down the bottom, but that's not particularly helpful, particularly when the measurements that I need to do today don't actually fall in one of those groups. So I'm going to cheat this a little bit. So on this side, the first measurement I'm going to measure out from the left-hand side, on the long side, I'm going to pop a little line at 4 centimetres. And then I'm going to work backwards from the right-hand side, and I'm going to measure 8 centimetres in. So that'll get you at 16 centimetres if you're measuring from this the left-hand side. So 4 and 16 centimetres. I'm just going to do that again from the bottom, just so that I've got 2 points to line this up. Okay, now of course I can line this up anywhere as long as I've got my cardstock pushed to the top of that board. I can line this up, and I'm lining this up with the 3-inch line just so that it's something that visually you guys can pick on screen as well. And so I'm just going to score that line there. So it's not 3 inches from the edge of the cardboard. It's on that 4 centimetre line that I marked just before. I'm just using that as a point. Then I'm just going to pop my other little marks at the 8-inch line there. Make sure that I've got my line in the groove at the top and in the centre of the groove at the bottom, and then give that one a little score. Tony's happy for centimetres. Oh, I've never been so happy to see centimetres on a craft tutorial, Tony. That's fantastic. Too good. All right, so once I've got those 2 points marked in, I'm just going to flip my cardstock over, and then I'm going to measure, tuck it into the left-hand side. I'm just going to measure again. Now this time I'm going to go 8 centimetres in from that left-hand side and just 4 centimetres back from the right-hand side. So if you're measuring all the way along this way, it's at 20 centimetres. So 8 centimetres and 20 centimetres on this one. Marking it at the bottom again just so that I've got 2 points to measure to. Can't measure and talk at the same time apparently. All right, I'm going to just line that up, lining up with the 4-inch mark here. Just made sure I did eyeball before I marked this to make sure I had my line in the groove at the bottom. And then I'll tuck this one back in. I'm going to pop this at the 9-inch mark here. Make sure my bottom line is lined up. I might have measured those just, you know, 0.5 millimetre off. Close enough is good enough, eh? Beautiful. I'm going to flip my cardstock back over just so that I've got the weave side back up. I'm going to disappear my scoreboard. Pack that away. All right, and I'm going to take out just a little craft cutting mat. So this is my little A4 one that I've got kicking around. Now we're going to take a ruler and I'm going to measure in 4 centimeters from each side along the first score line. And I'm also going to measure in 4 centimeters along the last score line along the bottom. Whoops, crash bang. Okay, so I'm just going to pop just a little mark there. I'm going to come back and erase all of these little pencil marks once we're done with this. So I've measured the one at the first score line. I'm just going to pop those ones there. All right, so I've got 4 little points to measure to. I am going to take my steel ruler and a craft knife. I'm just going to line up these 2 points here. So I've got my project card on the side at the moment. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take my craft knife and I'm going to cut all the way down from the first score line to the last score line. Don't go beyond that. Don't start before that. It needs to line up really closely with those. Otherwise your card is going to flip and flop all over the place. And then I'm going to do the same with the ones on the other side. Okay. There we go. All right, now if you haven't cut all the way through, just go back and kind of trace over very gently. But you can then turn your card back to the way it was when you started. So the basic part of this card is that you're going to fold your score lines in the right directions. So we all know that you fold inwards to where the mountain fold is or where the mountain score line is. So where it's raised, that's the inside of that fold. So if I take my card, so this is how it's laid out. First of all, I'm just going to rub off all these little lines before I go crazy and end up with them all over my project. I think about it later on when I'm looking at it and I'm like, damn it, I should have. You know what normally happens with it? I notice them when I go to take photos for afterwards. Then I see them. Alrighty, so this first fold here folds backwards because this is the groove side here. So I'm just going to flip this over so I've got that fold to be able to do. Get my bone folder, just give that a little burnish there. Happy days. The next one, so I've just folded that one down. The next one comes up on the front of the card. So I can just fold that over there. Just opening that up a bit, giving those folds a little burnish. Alrighty. Then we've got this one here folds backwards because we've got the groove, the raised bit on the back of the card. Burnish that one. And then this little flap at the end, you can then fold upwards and it comes back. So, like Tony's just said, she'll definitely need to watch a replay for this one. I definitely find value in being able to watch a replay on a project like this because it does get a little bit, which way did you flip that, fold it? Yep. But once you see it and how it works, you'll definitely understand it. You've just noticed that my eraser matches my cardstock. Yep. Purple's my thing. Janice Johnson, thank you for joining us in on Facebook. We've got lots of you in on Facebook today. Welcome. Anyone else who's lurking, that's totally fine, but we do love to say hello. So if you're brave, go for it. Say hi. We are here to all have fun together. So you'll see that when you hold your card sort of top down, you've just got all of those folds and everything's kind of going all in the same direction. To be able to make that great shutter fold, we just need to pop your hand underneath the card here. And we're just going to reverse these 2 folds in this center panel of the shutter. So this one was previously bending this way and we're just going to bend that back the other way. So you can fold the rest of the card under. If you want to give that a bit of a burnish, and I find that that will give it a little bit more stability, you can. And then this little guy that's sticking out here just needs to poke back in the opposite direction. So you can just fold that through, and again you can give that a little bit of a burnish. And then it works. It goes into those little box shapes, and you've got the top two pointing forward and the middle one pointing backwards. So then you can open and close your card, and it's then got the ability to stand on its own on your mantelpiece or on your coffee table or your TV unit or your kitchen bench, wherever you display your cards. So from here, I'm just going to flatten that back out. I mean, it's still going to kick up because we've got those panels in place, but we can now start to cut down cardstock and bits and pieces that we need to decorate. So it's a pretty simple and fairly quick, once you get the hang of which way the folds go, you'll be able to knock up a bunch of these in no time. So let's get down to the measurements that you're going to need to decorate your panels. Now first I'm going to cut the black cardstock, which will be the little border panels on all of my pieces. And I'm going to lay them out on this card so that you can kind of see as I'm measuring and doing things which panel they go on. So just get some of this paper out of my way, pop it over there and not drop it on the ground. And you'll hear a swear word or two. You failed miserably the first time you made one of these, Margaret. That's no good. Who else have we got there? Wendy Sampson. Hello, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Now I'm just going to make sure some of these pieces are long enough for what I'm doing. So the first pieces that I'm going to cut is 2 pieces to go on these long end panels. So for the background cardboard, cardstock, paper, whatever you want to make it out of, we're going to cut some pieces that are, slide that across to there, might be able to get a bit more of my guillotine. You're not going to see much. It's not much fun watching this anyway. We're going to cut 3.5 centimeters by 13.5. That's my 3.5 and 13.5. So as you can see, that'll just give us a little couple of millimeter border in that patterned, in the cardstock colour all the way around. So cut 2 of those. A lot of this is just going to be watching me cut cardstock and paper today. Sorry about that, but it is one of those things that once you've got the measurements right, you could actually sit and chop a whole lot of these in front of the TV, whatever you feel like. So that's our 2 panels for that one. Now I'll jump in and do, just because I've got a piece that's probably the right size, is the top panel in the middle and the bottom panel here in the middle. So those ones for the background cardstock, you're going to cut them to 3.5 centimeters wide, again, by 7.5 centimeters long. So I'm just lining that up. I don't have to take much off the side of this one. And 7.5, it's probably going to be my lucky day. And I'm going to have to get, yeah, look, another piece of cardstock to cut the bottom one. But that's the top one. So 7.5 centimeters by 3.5 centimeters. Get my other piece of black scrappy cardstock that I had floating around. Cut a second one of those. 3.5 and 7.5. Starting to work so far. Now I don't know about you guys, but I've had a bit of a rough week, so it's super fun to be here, you know, hanging out with you guys. Having a bit of a chat, doing some craft. The progress on the house build has kind of ground to a bit of a halt this week, which has thrown a few spanners in the works, including me now not being able to go out on the tour, the theatre tour that I was going to be working on, and also delaying everything. And it's all paperwork driven, and it's all something that could be avoided, but unfortunately we've got a builder who doesn't really care for inconveniencing their customers. They just do things in their own sweet time. So, you know, kind of been a bit up and down this week. So I am just stoked to be hanging out, doing some craft, thinking about anything other than house builds. So I'll just, that's my whinge time. Now we'll move on to fun stuff. I've just cut two. I've just cut an extra one of these because I've been thinking dimensions while I've been talking. What a wally. Alrighty. Let's cut 4 of these little squares that are going to go into these tiny little panels here. So they are, luckily, 3.5 by 3.5 centimeters. So the bit that I've cut, I can actually cut those down and not waste too much at all. So 3.5 centimeters by 3.5 centimeters. 2 there. Cut this way. Getting down to the shorter sections of cardstock. So I'm just trying to make it work. I'm actually going to have to cut like 1 extra scrap piece. The scrap piece that I had wasn't quite big enough to get all of these out of, but never mind. We'll make it work. Now this is actually going to be big enough for the middle panel, so I'll cut this middle panel next. We have got 7.5 centimeters by 5.5 centimeters. I tell you what, guys, it's a real struggle not to say inches today, because that just normally rolls off the tongue quite easily. So 7.5 by 5.5. And then to cut my last pieces, just diving into my little stash of little black scraps that I've got near my desk. So the next ones we're going to need are 3.5 by 5.5 centimeters. No inches today. But hopefully, you know, your weeks have been going really well since I last caught up with you. Hey, if anyone's joining us for the first time and they haven't seen our horde of videos online, you can go back and have a quick look at our YouTube page. So just jump into YouTube and pop in Papercrafting Australia. We don't have an individual URL for that just yet. YouTube have got some funny rules about how many subscribers you have to have before you're allowed to have a proper name, which would be, you know, youtube.com/Papercrafting Australia. We don't have that yet. We'll get there. But you can jump in there. We've got them all of our last videos are in playlists. So you can have a look at our Crafternoon Box. You can have a look at our Card of the Month kit tutorials. And you can have a bit of fun making some different projects. What did I see? I saw someone else. Oh, there's Maureen. Maureen, welcome to our Facebook page. Thank you for jumping on and spending some time with us today. Margaret, some cheat sheet of the measurements. I will absolutely get something like that done for you. Let me have a little bit of time this afternoon and I'll jump in and do that for you. That would certainly be very, very helpful. And Marjorie's here. Hi, Marjorie. Thanks for popping in. Marie. Hi, Marie. The size of the finished card or the back cardstock? The back cardstock that you started with was 24 centimeters by 14 centimeters. The finished card, just in case, we're looking at, so it's 8 centimeters by 14. Of course, it would be 14 because that's the card, and I haven't cut anything off it. What a wally. Yeah, alrighty, let's get in and start cutting our patterned papers. So I'll give you some dimensions for these. So these long little strips here, we are 3 centimeters by 13 centimeters. So I'll just pop in. Cut 2 of those to 3 centimeters. I'm just going to match them up. I like to do kind of matchy-matchy. You can do whatever suits you. If you want the long panel here to be different from the long panel here, go for it. It's your card. Make it what you want. Alrighty. Whatever you do, they're the same size. I'm going to cut a white panel for the center one here. just to write on for my recipient, and that is going to measure 7 centimetres by 5 centimetres. You might want to stamp on it. You might want to just write with a pen. Whatever works for you. So that'll just have a little black border around it. That means I can get one extra piece of paper off my off my desk. I'll cut these 2 little panels here, and also the bottom and the top. So I'm going to cut those in the same colour, and then the 4 squares in a different colour. So these ones on the sides, we're going to cut 3 centimetres by 5 centimetres. Now, bear in mind for this one that's on the front of your card, you're probably going to cover a fair portion of it with your decoration. But again, it all still forms part of the colour palette for the card. Just cutting 3 by 5 centimetres there. And then for the top and bottom panels that we're doing here, those ones we're going to cut at 7 by 3 centimetres. Doing a lot of 3 centimetres today. Don't know what went on there. Got a little bit choppy with my guillotine. Alright. That little guy up there. Nearly there. We can start gluing and putting things together. There we go. But look, I have had some fun parts to my week. I did get a promotion in my little call centre job that I do working from home for a TAFE institute. So I was promoted to team leader for our semester 2 busy intake time. So I now look after a team of 5 people. So I've got a little promotion, a little pay rise. I'll just cut these little 4 little squares. So they are 3 by 3 centimetres, those little corners. Who's talking about rainbows? I want to see rainbows across the panel. Oh, hello. Oh, yeah. I need a rainbow. Got a lot of rainbows. Just hang tight till the end of the year, guys, when we've actually got all of the colours together from all of our ink colours that are coming through across the 12-month subscription. There will be many rainbows. There will be many rainbow projects coming on. Hopefully not too many, but I'm sure you'll enjoy them just the same. All right, so 3 by 3 centimetre squares going on here. Pop that in there. All right, that's all I'm cutting for the moment. I'll get to cutting decorations in just a little bit. Fantastic. I think we've got the most viewers that we've ever had in one sitting online. So that's fantastic. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Okay, I'm going to use my liquid glue today. Don't ask me why. Just cause. So I'm just going to pop all of these out and pop them on my desk here. Hopefully not off the screen. Pop them in the right order, and I encourage you to do this. When I made my card for the example, look, I had bits of cardstock and paper everywhere. It was bonkers. You know me. It's yes, always a bit of a debacle. All right, so I'm just going to go through and I'm going to glue each of my pattern papers onto their backing cardstocks. So I'll just do it in this bottom little corner just because then you can still see all the other bits going on. And I didn't prep my glue pen by having it facing tip down. It was just laying sideways in my tray of tools that I use for these. I'm just going to wait for it to roll down. Maybe I'll switch to my double-sided tape after all. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to. Let's go. Double-sided tape from Couture Creations. I will only really need one strip along each edge to get that to stick down. Nice and easy. Tear it off, put it down. Don't have to wait for anything to dry. You just have all these little scrappy bits that you have to peel off and pop in the bin. I have made a little bit of progress this week, guys, with some orders coming in. So we've got some, just using Couture Creations tape at the moment has reminded me. There is some bulk order that we've got coming in for the double-sided tape and the double-sided foam tape. So that is coming in. That'll be in early next week. So for anyone who's got that tape on their next box orders, they'll be coming to you. And then I'll be putting, early in the week, once I've kind of gotten all of those orders sorted, I will be putting the residual stock up on the website. Just had a little bit of a lull in holding stock at the moment, just while we're moving the house. And just don't want to have to keep moving too many things from one place to the other. I've already got a lot of boxes that we have to lug across to the other place. So once we're at the new house, we'll have lots more stock coming in and lots more stock staying in stock on a regular basis. So the normal things like cardstock and tape and all of that, you'll be able to get from papercraftingaustralia.com more regularly. It is a tough decision on which side of the paper to use. Some of these plaid colours are beautiful. I'm not a massive plaid person. Hi Diane, thanks for joining us on Facebook. We're just in the middle of making a tri-fold shutter card. We are going to go back and put all the dimensions up for you after the tutorial today, so you'll be able to watch a replay on YouTube, get all those dimensions down and have a great time. But welcome to the fun. We do this every Saturday at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in Australia. And I think the ladies that are here with us at the moment would say we kind of have a bit of fun, even if people are just laughing at us. Hi Julia, thanks for joining us. Welcome to Facebook. Welcome to Papercrafting Australia. Hope your Saturday's going well. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit of a tedious part of it, but it's part of it. Like I said before, it's a good kind of thing to, just be doing if you've got a bit of mindless time. If you're watching some TV or doing something like that, putting these together. Midnight in Ontario, yes, it is. It's a late one for Margaret. But, thanks for joining us. Thanks for staying up and seeing us through the night, crafting along. Oh, look, if you're anything like I am, sometimes sleep is a little bit elusive. Get up and craft in the middle of the night. You don't generally make too much noise, but it is what it is. I have been planning my new craft room furniture, so that's been pretty exciting. I think I've done that a bit wonky today. Never mind. Margaret's a night owl. Yes, I do not function particularly well early in the morning. I'm definitely much better in the evening. Hence, we don't do early morning tutorials. I know our good friend Carrie likes to get up and do very early mornings. I think that ties in with Lou's time frame. Yeah, it's just way too early in the morning. I would stab myself, cut my fingers apart, glue things to the wrong things. Yeah, mornings would not be good for me to craft. There would be no quality product coming out of that session, let me tell you. Oh dear. Got to have plenty of tea. Even with my normal job, it's generally 3 cups of tea in before I can start functioning properly in the morning. Pity Luckily, I don't talk to the students and man the phone lines anymore. But while I was doing that, if I didn't have 3 cups of tea in me, there was not much sense coming out advice-wise on which courses to study and how to go about enrolling. It's a bit dodgy. Is anybody else a tea person, or are we all coffee people? I mean, I live in Melbourne and I love coffee, don't get me wrong. Coffee before conversation, Margaret, that is a brilliant way of putting it, and that is definitely the way I have to come at my boyfriend in the morning. You don't really talk to him. Marie's inspiration comes at night. Yeah. Mine too. I'll come up with an idea at 10:30 at night and I'll sit up all night making it and, perfecting it. But geez, don't ask me to do anything in the morning. Yeah, tea or coffee? Tea or coffee or hot chocolate? Being diabetic, the hot chocolate's not a great option. Although I have found I think it's Avalanche, the brand that they do a sugar-free hot chocolate. Decaf tea, Marie. Wow. That's yeah, that's insane. Getting back to my sugar-free hot chocolate. I have that every now and again. That's normally my nighttime drink though. That or peppermint tea in the evening after dinner. Something warm before I go to bed. Can't wait to get into the new house and have central heating. Woo! Although I'm going to miss we've got a gas upright heater, the old style of heater in the house, and I use that at the moment. I don't know if you've realised how long my hair is. Like, it is actually past my belt. That's how long it is when it's down. I haven't had a haircut in 2 years. But I use it actually hurts my arms, and I've got a bit of a dodgy shoulder. So this is my long story roundabout way of telling you that I don't use a hairdryer to dry my hair. I currently go out into the lounge room and I kneel down in front of the heater, flip my head over, and or flip my hair over, and I use the heat from the lounge room heater to dry my hair. So I'm going to miss that heater when I go into the new house. I'm going to have to go back to using a hairdryer. And I recently found a second use for that heater and its heat source, and that was to, when we get food deliveries, if the other half is not quite ready to eat right that second, before I start dishing it up, I just kind of put the bag or the box or whatever it's come in on the floor in front of the heater. That's my food warmer. So, multi-purpose heater. But yeah, so I'm going to miss that. I mean, I won't really need to heat my takeaway food in front of the heater. That's kind of, it was a one-off. It works. Oh, everyone's talking about Milo in the chat. I love Milo. Milo on top of ice cream is the bomb. Now, Milo, again, not great for me as a diabetic, but also it's one of those things that, even though my boyfriend is now in his 40s, as am I, he can't have Milo without having 8 scoops of Milo and a tablespoon of milk. So Milo goes pretty quick in our house, so we try not to have it around too often. Okay, so we can now start putting all of these panels. I'll shuffle those across, and hopefully, they're a little bit off camera, but that's okay. We'll start adhering these to the correct parts of the card. So our long pieces, obviously. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all of these pieces on, and then I'm going to start laying out some ephemera. And I'll show you why, because there's a couple of points where you can get caught putting your ephemera on pieces that then stick out and are visible from the front, or pieces that are hidden. So you don't want to kind of learn the hard way. I actually pulled panels off my example card earlier because I'd done exactly that. So Margaret, Milo is a little bit of a malt kind of powdered drink. It's the best way to describe it. It's a little bit like malt. It's a little bit like chocolate, like choc malt. And it's supposed to have been good for you. It's an Aussie thing. It's a bit like, well, it's nothing like Vegemite, but it's very much an Aussie product. Maybe I'll have to send you a care package. I'll get some Milo, Margaret, and I'll pop it in your Crafternoon box that I send off this month. I will send you some. But yeah, it's delicious. So you can drink it cold. So you just put the powder or put the milk in, pop some powdered Milo on top, and then you can either stir it up, or you can do what hundreds of thousands of kids have been doing for, I don't know, however long Milo's been around for, hundreds of years probably. You kind of stir the Milo in a little bit, and then you use a spoon to eat it. So it's kind of like crunchy chocolate, but a little bit wet from the milk. But yeah, fantastic. Who did I see just pop in? Deb. Hi, Deb. Thank you for joining us. Just making a trifold shutter card today and talking about Milo while we're doing it. So welcome. It's not a Milo tutorial. It's although just educating one of our Canadian friends on what is Milo. I spend a little bit of time on Twitch, which is another streaming platform, watching a DJ do their set a couple of times a week. And there's very much, we've had him try Vegemite. That didn't go down so well. But I think we need to send them some Milo in the States. You can have a go at that. Milo is definitely an easier to digest product than Vegemite is, although Vegemite is amazing. Yeah, they tried Vegemite on a live stream, and we got to laugh. It was great. But yeah, not everybody likes it. I don't know how people eat Marmite. That version of it just is bleh. Not my bag. Vegemite and Promite. Oh yeah, thanks Tony. That's where I was going with the Milo, hot or cold. Yes, so you can kind of make it a bit like a cup of tea, I suppose. Some people make it with more hot water than milk. I'm just going to flip this card upside down so I can pop this panel on without reaching too far. Yeah, make it with hot milk. Is actually really yummy but super rich. Some people, i.e. my parents, like to get stingy and make it with hot water and then just put a dash of milk in towards the end. But definitely the milky one, if you can tolerate significant amounts of milk. Beautiful. Beautiful. So there's lots of panels to stick together with this. Certainly a bit of liquid glue. Might have been. I never. Yeah. It's like the time you made me eat celery and thought I didn't notice that there was celery in the meal. I know all your dirty tricks, you parents. Lots of panels to stick on, but I think the end effect is actually really quite nice. And if you use a couple of different pattern papers, certainly you could use all the one pattern paper if you wanted to. If you had, you might need 2 sheets of the 6x6 to be able to cover it and be able to cut all of your shapes to the right dimensions. But yeah, it's not as rich at all, Tony, if you're adding water to Milo. A bit like, having tea, the quantity of water, the quantity of milk kind of gives it that richness. Some people like milky tea, some people not so much. So hopefully you're all crafting away there in the background. Or maybe you're just watching today because there's too many measurements. Too many measurements to write down and things things to remember. Oops. Can't quite see this far over on my bench. The new house will have lots of big benches and lots of reaching space, and I'll be able to set my camera up in a sensible place. I mean, you guys should see the setup I've got here. Look, I watch a lot of tutorials about other people's craft room setups and how they have their cameras set up and things like that. And it's, look, the new place will be phenomenal for that. At the moment, it's just make do with what you got. Rental properties. Doing all right. Yeah, I don't think I would do a tutorial or a tour of my craft room setup at the moment. It is not ideal. I mean, I guess it would show you all the things not to do. What not to do. I mean, that's not true. I do have this set up in such a way that it is somewhat usable, because obviously you need to be able to access your materials and store things and get out to things when you need to, but there's definitely better ways. Definitely better ways. But I have been working really hard on getting some new products, which we're hoping to launch by the end of the year. So we'll wrap up this 12 months of the Crafternoon Box, and we'll be going into 2022 with our own range of cardstock that doesn't originate in Asia. We will be bringing out patterned papers in 12 by 12 inch sizes, and they will be designed by some Australian designers. I've got a couple on board already, and you'll hear more about that in the next couple of months as we get things sort of rolling. So those papers will be printed in Australia, and yeah, I'm looking forward to being able to share that kind of stuff with you guys and have something a little bit unique to Papercrafting Australia. And they'll be eco-friendly for the most part. So where possible, eco-friendly and or recycled materials. So I've actually found some really nice recycled paper that comes complete with forest certification, and is not, so it's recycled paper, but it's not pulped, like it's not lumpy like recycled paper can often be. So this is, now that I've kind of popped all of those on, you can see how the card is coming along. So these colours here are actually a little bit of a surprise. You don't see any of that on the front, nor do you see this panel or this panel. So any of these squares, if you wanted to make something surprising as part of your card, they're the panels where I would put that. These two panels, you start to see half of that panel. This one is part of the front. So this kind of area and any of these four panels you will not see in the closed position. So now it's time to kind of get it decorating. Right, what am I going to do with this? Right, grab some sentiments. We'll grab some of these guys, bit of this. Right, let's see what we can make out of this. I always make cards that I don't have a recipient in mind for these, so it's kind of a little bit, you know, just a bit made up. But I think I could really do with a card here that says big hugs and you got this, and I could put the you got this in somewhere in here, like I might be able to pop it in that little one perhaps. Let's see how we go. Get my guillotine out. I'll flip that over. I just want to cut some straight lines for a change. If I hand cut it, it's definitely not going to be straight. Big hugs. People have had a tough time during COVID. It's not been fun. Thankfully, Victoria, we're out of lockdown now. So our lockdown was extended, but we're not in the naughty corner anymore. So we'll have it out. There's still some limitations on what we can and can't do. Don't have to wear masks outside anymore though, so that's kind of good. You can go for a walk without a mask on. Choppy, choppy. Had my first COVID injection. That was fun. Got a headache from the first one. A couple of hours afterwards when I was at home. Got a bit of a headache. Went and had a lay down. A couple of hours later, right as rain. No problems whatsoever. But I did get the Pfizer just because of my age bracket and the risks that they've got with the blood clots and things. You know what? I think I'm actually also going to cut out this "be weird, be you." I think I can cut that down even further and, you know, kind of hide that in at the back of one of my panels. Why shouldn't you be weird? I'm weird. I think I'm weird. All right, these ones I'm just going to snip apart because I just want to cut these down as small as I can. So I just want to cut that little comma off there. Be weird. Be you. Oh, a little bit weird, aren't we? I might be able to use that for something. I might be able to cut another piece of this off and add that on there for something. We'll see how we go. All right. So we know that, you know, as far as things go on here, you're going to be able to see anything that you kind of adhere to those. So I'm going to keep the front pretty plain for this one. I could bring in some of the little stars or the hearts that we got cut out from the January box. But for today, I'm just going to let this one kind of stay pretty plain because I'm going to put a lot of stuff, but a bit of stuff in the middle. So I think what I'll do is I might put my "be weird, be you" and pop a little bit of, might cut that down to something, draw a little something on it. And then my ticket's kind of big, but I might, I think it's too big. Yeah, too big to go here. Okay, too big. I might be able to pop that on the side a little bit and I'll cut it down. So I'll just flatten everything out. Get a bit of liquid glue. Super keen to see what you guys all make with this, because I mean the complexity of the card fold itself is, you know, it's not huge, but it's not just folding a piece of cardstock in half. So once you've gotten that right, the next part is how you decorate it. And there are so many ways to embellish this, even just with everybody using the same pieces that came in the Crafternoon box. There's just so many combinations with the plaid and the watercolor and the, you know, 4 different colors of base cardstock. Or you might be making a white card as a base and then just really going to town with decorating it. Like that's okay as well. Pop that little bit on there. All right, I'm going to cut this card, this little ticket, want that little white. No, I don't need the white edge because I'm going to put it on that white cardstock. So I can trim all of that down. I am doing it on camera. But yeah, make sure you post a photo once you've made this, you know, even if it's in a couple of days, or if you're watching this as a replay, absolutely jump onto our Facebook page, Papercrafting Australia, and show us what you made. It's been fabulous to see everybody's different interpretations of the cards. They all look similar, but then the way you embellish and personalize your cards is really special, because you're thinking about the person that you are giving it to. If you've got somebody in mind, if you're not just making a card for practice or just trying out the technique or whatever it might be. So yeah, it's been really good to see. So you just jump onto Papercrafting Australia. If you're on your mobile phone, you'll see a little menu bar there that says home and about, and probably says live and events and things like that. Posts is in that list. You just need to scroll that menu sideways and you'll get to posts. You can just click on the little tab that says posts and it'll let you add a photo and write some words and post that photo to the page. And that's it's super fun to see everybody's little versions of what they've done. I think I'll pop that in there. Bit of glue. Is to kind of leave me as much room as possible to write my greeting on. Just going to get my ever handy acrylic block and just give that a bit of weight on it, just so it can hold that down. Pack up my glue pen. I'm going to put some double-sided foam tape on the back of the big hug square just to pop that on the front. Now, with anything that you kind of put across here, so across this first join, it's really helpful to put one on there because you have previously folded that or scored along that line there. So something that covers across this long panel and then this little short panel in the middle actually helps to stabilize and stiffen that panel so that it doesn't fold back, and then you get nice crisp folds. Just a little tip for you. So I'm going to cut double-sided foam tape. And I'm going to go all the way around. It doesn't need it, but the extra foam tape will just give that a little bit more structure and help to hold that panel more solid. A little bit in here. I mean, you can go to town with putting ribbons or sequins or other bits of ephemera on. You can jazz it up as much or as little as you want. You know, there's also nothing stopping you from, you know, just making or colouring in a colouring in book and then using the page and cutting that down. Kind of almost like a jigsaw puzzle, if you like. Just cut the strips in the right section. So you're basically just cutting 3 centimetres, 3 centimetres, whatever that one was, 7 I think, 5, 7, 3, and then another 3. And then cutting the middle bits into the right shapes. So that would be kind of fun. Maybe I'll do one of those later. You've got like a whole entire picture across the course of your project. But I don't want to put a lot in here. I certainly could. I'm just going to leave it fairly plain. I'll be able to write my little thing in there. Get these little 2 to pop forward. Close him up. Just going to pop maybe some blue and some purple on here. Find the tweezers. Brrr. It's always that big $1 million question, isn't it? About where are they going to go? Look, I could put a couple in on these little panels. You're going to see them on the inside when you kind of display it. That's cool. Little one there and a medium blue one. Kind of has turned out a bit like a sky. It's like a bluey purple sky, isn't it? All right, a little bit of bling on the front. But that's basically where I think I'm going to leave this card. I've got, you know, nice little bits to write on. You know, I could add some little bits on there if I wanted to. Yeah, cute little card. So I'll leave that there. I'll get some dimensions and things and pop them up online a little bit later. But I hope you've all had a great time doing the tutorial today. What are we running on? Just on an hour, so that was good timing. Lots of bits and pieces to cut for that one. I'll pop those dimensions up for you as soon as we finish this. I'll go back in and edit the description in the YouTube video with all of those dimensions for you. But thank you for joining us once again. Next week we will be back and we will be doing an emboss resist technique. So there'll be a bit of ink blending and a bit of embossing. So please come back and join us at 2 o'clock Australian Eastern Standard Time next week for that one. We will also then be towards the end of next week or early the week after launching the August box. Whew! So it's just a never-ending monthly cycle of one box after the other, and I sometimes don't remember which box I'm in the middle of. So we're making the June box at the moment. July boxes will ship out next week, and August boxes will go on sale the week after. So it is a revolving door. So I hope you have lots of fun making the trifold shutter card. Please jump on and share your finished projects with us on our Facebook page. Yeah, look forward to seeing you all again next week. Have a great week in between.